Hey friends, welcome to Dust to Grace. I am Lisa Anders, and if you're new here, I am so glad you found your way here. Last episode, we talked about backing into the box, that breath before the run, before the risk, before everything changes. Today, we're going to go deeper. We're going to talk about what competition actually does inside of your brain and why that matters long after the arena dust settles. I have a story from 1981. It kind of dates me. I need to tell you though, because it stuck with me all of my life. And I promise you, whether you've ever set foot in a rodeo arena or not, this one is for you. Welcome to Dust to Grace, where gumption meets grace and real life gets lived out loud. Have you ever felt like you prepared for something with everything you had and then watched it fall apart anyway? That quiet, stubborn something that keeps you getting up, that keeps you hoping, keeps you believing there is still something good on the other side of this hard season. I know that feeling, and I believe it has a name. It is called grace. The summer of 1981, I was 14 years old. I grew up in Marsland, Nebraska, population 20, kind of small. I was the oldest of 5 kids, and rodeo was just a part of who we were. It was what held us together, no matter how hard the week had been. When we loaded up for a rodeo, we were a team. We were a family. We piled into our 1967 Ford pickup truck, hooked up the 2-horse trailer, and headed down the road, all 5 of us kids in the back of a camper shell. Dust flying, hearts set on the rodeo arena. That year was my last year in the junior girl division of the National Little Britches Rodeo. And I had been having the kind of season you only dream about. I had won every goat tie-in I entered except for one. Then came Nationals at Colorado Springs, Colorado. Pikes Peak watching over it all. First go, I placed 4th. Second go, everything clicked. I won that round, broke the arena record. I was riding high going into the short go. My dad and I went down to the practice pen. I could fly off that horse. Everything felt right. I can still feel it. We stopped and we prayed together before I went in. All I had to do was make one smooth, easy run, right? I ran 19 seconds slower than both my previous runs combined, and then some. Just like that, it was over. I looked up into the grandstand at my mom, and she had tears in her eyes, and she mouthed the words, "I'm sorry." We drove home with Pikes Peak fading off in the background, and I felt a kind of heartbreak that was hard to explain. It felt like losing something bigger than rodeo. Fast forward 41 years. Same arena, same mountain watching over it all, same dirt. But this time, I wasn't the competitor. I was the mom. My son had made it to the PRCA circuit finals for steer wrestling. And this year mattered. He needed a big win to keep rodeoing that summer. Sitting in those stands, watching your child compete on the same dirt that once broke your heart, that does something to you. Something no book can fully explain. He had a strong first run. Second and third were solid good runs, but not enough. Not enough to win what he needed. We drove home, and once again, Pikes Peak faded behind us, and once again, my heart broke. But this time, it was as a rodeo mom. Now, here's what I want to ask you before we go anywhere near the science. Why do we compete in the first place? I mean, we know it's going to hurt sometimes. We know we're going to lose. We know there will be 19-second runs when we needed a 7. So why? We keep going back. I've thought about this a long time, and I think the answer has layers. The first layer is belonging. For our family, rodeo wasn't just a sport. It was the language we spoke together. It was the thing that put all 5 of us kids in the back of that truck, heading somewhere that mattered. Competition at its core is about being part of something. The second layer is identity. When you step into an arena, you find out who you are under pressure. Not who you hope you are. Not who you perform yourself to be on a good day. Who you actually are when it counts. That's terrifying. And it's also one of the most honest things a human being can do. And the third layer. This layer is the one that took me a long time to understand, is that we compete because something deep inside of us knows that the struggle is where we grow. We don't just tolerate the hard, we need it. And it turns out your brain knows that too. As an Amen certified brain health coach, I want to walk you through what is actually happening inside your brain when you compete. Because once you understand it, you can work with it instead of being blindsided by it. Let's start with what happens before the run. Your brain has a part called the prefrontal cortex. It's the front of your brain right behind your forehead. This is your planner, your coach, the part that says, I've done this 1,000 times. I know what to do. When you prepare well, when you practice, when you pray, when you go to the practice pen with your dad, you're building and strengthening those prefrontal pathways. You are literally laying down neural grooves that your body can follow under pressure. But this is what happens when the gate opens. Your brain also has an amygdala, 2 small almond-shaped structures deep inside your brain. The amygdala is your alarm system. It is always scanning for threat. And when the pressure is on, when everything is on the line and the crowd is watching, the amygdala fires. It floods your body with cortisol and adrenaline. Now that flood is not your enemy. That flood is fuel. Elite competitors learn to use it. But if your amygdala is louder than your prefrontal cortex, if fear drowns out the training, you seize up. You overthink. You run 19-second runs when you should have had a 7 in you. Dr. Daniel Amen calls this the prefrontal cortex amygdala battle. And it plays out in every arena, not just rodeo, job interviews, hard conversations, health diagnosis. Anytime the stakes are high, these 2 parts of your brain are in a tug-of-war, and then there's dopamine. Dopamine is your brain's reward and motivation chemical. Here's what's fascinating. Research shows that dopamine actually spikes not just when you win, but in anticipation of the competition, the drive to the arena, the tightening of the cinch, the backing the horse into the box. Your brain is already rewarding you for showing up before a single run is made. That's part of why we keep going back. Our brains are literally wired to pursue the challenge. Now here's where it gets really good, and where rodeo becomes one of the best brain health tools for me. Neuroplasticity. The word simply means your brain can change. It is not fixed. It is not set in concrete. After your worst run or your hardest season, your brain is quite literally a living, changing, rewirable organ. And competition is one of the most powerful forces that drives that rewiring. Here's how it works. Every time you practice a skill, every time you rope, every time you ride, every time you do the hard thing over and over, your brain is building and strengthening a neural pathway. Think of it like this: a trail through tall grass. The first time you walk it, it's hard to find. The 10th time, it's a path. The 100th time, it's a road your feet know by heart. That's what practice is doing inside of you. It's not just muscle memory, it's brain memory. And here's the part that stopped me cold when I first understood it. Failure drives neuroplasticity just as powerfully as success, maybe more. When you lose, when you run that 19-second run after breaking a record, your brain doesn't just feel bad, it goes to work. It flags that memory as important. It encodes that emotion. And then, if you let it, it uses that memory to protect and recalibrate. Simply put, don't do that again. You figure out what went wrong to build new pathways for the next time. That's brain resilience. Dr. Amen defines brain resilience as the brain's capacity to recover from stress and adapt to a challenge and come back stronger. And it is not a personality trait. You either have or you don't. It is a skill. It can be built. And competition, real competition, high stakes, heart on the line competition is one of the best ways to build it. And this is important, only if you process it right. Because the same emotion encoding makes a hard loss a powerful teacher, can also make it a trauma. The difference is what happens after. What you tell yourself in the truck on the way home. What you do with Pikes Peak fading in the rearview mirror. So I want to give you 3 concrete things to think about. 3 practices that turn a hard run into a rewire. Practice 1. Name it without the story. After a loss, your amygdala wants to write a story, and amygdala stories are never kind. They sound like, I always choke when it matters. I'm not good enough. I just will hang it up. I let everyone down. Those stories don't just feel bad. They build neural pathways. If you repeat them enough, your brain starts to treat them as fact. The antidote is simple, but not easy. Name the fact without the story. I ran slow today. The run didn't go the way I prepared for it. That's it, just the facts. When you do that, you bring your prefrontal cortex back online. You go from reaction to response. And you stop building pathways you'll have to tear down later. Practice 2. Move your body. After a hard competition, your cortisol is elevated. Your nervous system is still in fight or flight. Physical movement, even a walk, even unsaddling your horse, or even doing the chores, metabolizes those stress hormones and begins the neurological recovery process. Dr. Amen is empathetic about this. Movement is medicine for your brain. It's not just good for your body, it changes your brain chemistry in real time. Practice 3. Tell a resilient story. This is where faith and neuroscience shake hands for me. When you choose intentionally to find meaning in the hard thing, you are doing something neurologically significant. You are growing new neural pathways. You are practicing neuroplasticity on purpose. And resilient stories sound like, I lost and I showed up. And I know something now I didn't know before. And grace has not left the arena. That and is important. Not but and. Because both things are true at the same time. The loss is real and the growth is real. And your brain is remarkable, changeable, resilient. The brain God gave you is using both. I didn't fall apart the way I thought I would when I watched my son ride on that same dirt, where my own dream had crumbled 41 years before, when his runs weren't enough either. I didn't crumble with him. I could hold space for his heartbreak because mine had already been redeemed. That's what brain resilience looks like in real life. Not a lab, not a clinical study. A pickup truck cab, 2 rodeos, 41 years apart, and a mountain that watched it all. So here's what I want to leave you today. Competition. Whether it's a rodeo short go, or a hard conversation, or a health battle, or a season of life that just isn't going the way you planned, does something real inside your brain. It can build trauma, or it can build resilience. The difference is rarely about the event itself. It's about what you do after, what you tell yourself on the way home. Whether you name the fact or let the amygdala write your story. Whether you move your body, tend to your brain, and choose to find meaning in the loss. Your brain is not fixed. It is not done with your story. Every hard season, every failed run, every Pikes Peak moment, your brain is taking notes. And if you work with it, it will use every single one of them to make you more resilient, more whole. Name it. Move your body. Tell a resilient story. And if you're sitting with a run that didn't go your way, a season that feels like a 19-second run that should have been much better, I want you to hear this. Your brain is not done with that story yet. And neither is grace. Breathe, lean, hope, believe, and grow. You're not behind. You're not broken. You are one breath away from the life grace has for you. Real stories, real struggle, real grace. Take the breath, lean in. I'm Lisa Anders, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day.